I think you're doing a great job. Congratulations. Congratulations. Now, do well to promote this video for you as long as I can, or as far as I can. I have been joined in the studios by Mr. Justice Ekufu-Hineku. Good morning to you, sir. I trust you're doing very well. And
thank you.
yes. Mr. In fact, Honorable Elvis Butter, Deputy National Organizer of the NPP. You're looking very presidential this morning. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, KOD.
I trust you're doing
and
well.
Thanks for your kind compliment.
Everything
You're
looking
okay.
very dashing.
Thank you. I'm learning that from you, you know. You've always been splendid.
No, you see, I'm a socialist, so I wear simple things.
No, socialist.
I get it. I get where I'm going. I don't want that argument.
It is the working people who make this.
So we should enjoy it, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. I mean, when I finished saying that, I realized I had said.
He actually knows that is very untraditional about me.
Yeah.
I really hardly do suit.
Yeah.
He knows that.
Yeah. I'm sure today you have some meeting.
From here, I'm dashing for 1 or 2 pack. You understand what
It's necessary. Right, so we're expecting Honorable Linus Afusede to also join us this morning. I'm sure he's caught up in traffic somewhere, but definitely he will join us this morning. We're touching on an African story to begin with. Benin President wins re-election. That's captured by the Daily Graphic newspaper. At the National Consultative Dialogue on Small-Scale Mining, President Akufo-Addo slams political actors for politicizing Galamsey. That has been captured by the Ghanaian Times newspaper. In fact, on the back of one of the newspapers as well, the president is saying that Galamsey fight demands consensus. I don't know which consensus he's referring to again, but we will try and get into all of that, because I know that Nana Addo Akufo-Addo has gained a lot of support, particularly within the media space, in respect of his attempt to address the menacing canker of Galamsey. But the attending, thanks to Ghanaians, have been very bad. And I'm sure you know why. We can cite all of that, all of the examples, etc. But MPP Sadanimo attacks Akufo-Addo, says his performance as president is extremely poor. That has been captured by the Inside newspaper this morning. It's on the front page of the Inside newspaper. And I presume it's predicated on an interview that is granted one media house, where he intimated unequivocally that Nana Addo Akufo-Addo's performance is very abysmal. Inflation remains unchanged at 10.3% in March. Business analysts is reporting that. But the question then is, does it really matter when prices of goods and services are skyrocketing instead of plummeting? We will get into all of that this morning here and more. Let me remind you that we're streaming live on our Facebook platform, Pan-African Television. We're also on YouTube as Pan-African TV. I am on Facebook, Kwame Owusu Danso. I am on Instagram at Kwame Owusu Danso. I'm on Twitter at Kwame Owusu Danso. Clubhouse, Kwame Owusu Danso. Snapchat, Kwame Owusu Danso. I'm on all the relevant social media platforms. Connect with me, share with me your thoughts. Let's have a conversation, and let's together grow and build Ghana. Elvis, kickstarting with you, sir. Benin president wins re-election. Surprised?
No, not surprised. It was not for me. It has always been expected. Let me use this medium to, say good morning to your good self and our big father, Justice, who is here with us. A man of enormous experience, undoubtedly to learn from. Yeah. And we're taking after that. I want to say a good morning to, our cherished viewers as well. All loved ones watching from home and
my
abroad.
People in Adoli.
And of course, my own people, Nadoli Kalio constituency.
Now I'm going to start the project for you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes. Now I'm going to actively
a huge political market in there.
Yeah, I'm going to involve myself in ensuring that you win that seat. I think you've paid your dues.
It is well.
We should reward you.
That's the speaker's.
Yeah. Yes. That's well. The speaker's former seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is the MP now?
One Anthony Suma.
I don't know him. Never heard of him before.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. We'll see.
He's a fine gentleman. So
he's a fine gentleman.
I wish him well in the next 4 years.
Okay.
In the interest of the people.
In the interest of the people. I like that. But, well, maybe he
But I will
be
back. I will be back.
Maybe he only has 1 term.
No doubt about it.
We've got some big secondary school there.
Yes, that's right. Well, it doesn't exist in reality, but some way, somehow, it found its way into news and perceptions of people. But except the one the Catholic Church did. No.
I've been there before.
Yes, yeah.
I see. Oh, please, let's...
Yeah, so it's a wonderful thing, and I find it quite fascinating. Benin president wins re-election. It was expected. If you understand what has been happening in Benin for quite some time now, I think that it was clear that these results were counted even far in advance to the elections. Everything was clear that one way or the other, His Excellency Patrice will want to actually clinch on to power. I want to look at it from the angle that I think coming into power in 2016, as a businessman, as an international business mogul, and a politician of many years standing in Benin, actually being touted as one of the people whose criticisms actually led to a better democracy as it was, unlike what's beginning to be seen as a dwindling democracy today, which is a worry. And for me, that's a concern, because if you have all the accolades as 1 year back who stood up for what's right and proper, and so eventually the mandate of governance is now placed on your shoulders. Clearly, we expected much more improvement, in the democratic issues in Benin. However, over the past 3-4 years in particular, though quite a stable economy, but the business community and the agricultural sector of Benin have suffered a lot of backlash. We've seen several complaints emanating from those cortices, so to suggest that probably expectations, I don't want to say he performed badly, but to say that expectations probably were not met. And that's one danger with power. From opposition, when you talk and have all the postulations, then reality dawns on you in government. Then you begin to do things differently, and people begin to doubt you because you have ascended the throne of leadership at the back of a certain height of expectation. And that height of expectation directly is proportional to the effect people would want to experience in their lives, within the economy, and within their social settings. And so that is the danger, and that is what a lot of politicians are usually unable to manage. And so that is the kind of a situation, or as His Excellency Patrice have been confronted with. But I think that generally, given that he's managed to sail through in his second term, he should pay more attention to agriculture and industry. The Benin economy, just very much so like all other economies in Africa, are heavily dependent on foreign aid, direct foreign investments, and in many cases, borrowings. These are not practically feasible economic basis for which any country, an emerging economy, or a developing country, or a third world nation, as they so describe us, would actually charter in order to make gains. Because the only time we can provide jobs to address the heightening unemployment within the youth funds, graduates and people we churn out of schools, will depend on the level at which we've been able to industrialize. And so until Benin, Ghana, Africa as a continent go industrial with the application of their available intermediate technology, or if we want to advance with sophisticated technology, we should be willing to confront same with the right attitude and posture. But that is missing, so there is nothing really different, from the Benin story. I think that if you look at Benin properly in this election, it tells you that another feature of our exercise of adult suffrage, and I mean voting, that seemed to cut across the entire African continent, is the, if you like it, the ever-increasing lack of interest by people to even want to go out to vote, ostensibly on the basis of their lack of trust for the very people they put in power. And so look at the Benin population, and we are reported to that just about 50.2%, all right, of valid voters turn out for the election process. So clearly, such low turnout, an election witnessing almost half of the eligible voters not turning out to vote, speaks volumes. And I think that it's not just about, well, if you read the Republic, the Socrates and the Platonic quotes will tell you that those who fail to participate in public affairs for reasons of righteousness will be ruled by fools. So it's said. But I think that we have the silent majority, which we mustn't at any particular point in time take for granted. And so if up to about 49.5% of eligible voters decide that we're not going to form queues at all to vote, it is a vote of no confidence in itself, on the system, not on any political party or its agents or presidential candidate, but it is a show of lack of confidence for the system, and in which case, if we are not careful, such happenings begin to form the basis for civil disobedience, political revolutions, civil unrest, and political violence. I can only wish the Beninite people very well in their next endeavor. But to conclude, I don't expect to really see any much difference in the next 4 years of His Excellency Patrice. But we wish them well.
Thank you very much, Elvis. But are you still watching the News Preview segment here on Pan African Television? Let me welcome into the studios the newest farmer in town. Good morning to you, Honorable. How are you, sir? Yes, farming with swag and style.
Yes, I've always said that when we're in power, I told His Excellency John Dramani Mohammed that we must change the concept of farming.
Absolutely.
Because the university graduates, they still want to have mobile phones on the farm. They want to dress like Elvis Bota.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they are farmers.
Yeah.
So we must build green houses so that they can go there, do their farming activities, and still appear as decent as they want to be. We don't have to...
Without wearing Wellington boots.
Without wearing Wellington boots into town.
Yeah.
And that led to the greenhouse thing that Nana Akufo-Addo commissioned recently.
Is it one in Tema, I believe?
Beyond, yes.
Pram area.
Yes, because...
A beautiful project.
Yes, because people should be able to farm and still look decent. Look like... Yes, farming should not condemn you to poverty and misery.
Actually, it's about the greatest route to riches.
Yes!
I mean, the great countries.
Yes! You shouldn't wear tattered clothes to farm. No, why?
Cuba is Cuba because of farming and just because of sugar cane.
Anyway, so welcome.
Thank you.
Right. Mr. Justice Ereko, let's hear from you on this subject matter. Benin President wins pre-election.
Thank you.
Yes,
and good morning to you.
Right.
Good morning to
It's a privilege to have met you.
Good morning to the two honorables. And good morning to our cherished
you
viewers.
read the one comrade. Two
did.
honorables, one comrade.
And good morning to my comrade.
Yes, thank you.
And good morning to the cherished viewers of Pan African TV.
Yes, sir.
Indeed, what happened in Benin is predictable, or was predictable. And indeed, it is the trend in West Africa or elsewhere, like, not only West Africa, probably the whole of Africa. The problem is not somebody winning an election. The problem is, one, opening up the political space for fair representation and participation within the political space, one. And two, the most important is how strong our institutional infrastructure is. Is the Beninois Electoral Commission that strong that it will be fair in implementing its work, in doing its work? The press, is it institutionally strong enough to give fair representation to all the political actors? These are very important because these institutions form the architecture of states. And anytime they become partisanized or they take one side of the political divide, then you are closing the political space and you are calling for subversion or for extra parliamentary activities in order for others to want to participate in the politics of the country. So yes, somebody can rule 2, 3, 4, 5 terms, so long as he or she has the confidence of the people, and the people can freely express their choice for him. But where there's manipulation in order for you to cling on to power, then it becomes a problem. I think in Benin, there were 1, demonstrations, 2, the courts were used to hive off or push off a whole lot of political opponents so that they couldn't participate, and they allowed some other unknown political actors to participate, which means that it was a make-up thing. I mean, it was, I wouldn't want to use the word sham, you understand, but it was a facade of presenting themselves as going through the democratic process when the democratic process itself was flawed. And that's what is happening in Benin. And that's unfortunate, because after Matthew Kerekou, the military dictator who turned into civilian president, Benin has done quite well in their elections, etc. Been able to change leaders, the people have been able to change leaders, etc., etc. So, and we are told that this president is a cotton farmer who has done well for Benin. So, you wonder what he was afraid of. You understand, yes. And again, the mere fact that the participation in the elections, it recorded a low turnout, does indicate a vote of no confidence in the system. Of course, the Beninois economy can't be expected to do anything better if they are practicing a neoliberal economy.
Absolutely. Just like Ghana.
Yes, just like us.
No other African
you understand? Because they are dependent on exporting raw agricultural products like cotton. For the life of me, I don't know why they can't add value to their cotton to be making clothes. For all you might know, when you go to the markets in Cotonou and Porto Novo, the second-hand clothing business is thriving. Meanwhile, this is a cotton-producing country. And clothing, the base for clothing is from cotton. So why haven't they transisted? Why haven't they invested in our upstream industries to turn the raw materials they are so famous for into finished products for themselves and for the African market? And that is always the problems that we have. Like Ghana here. Ghana, we started well with industrialization. Then at a certain time, we changed, and a lot of our industries are just sitting down, getting rotten. And then the policy which the NPP started, the one district, one factory. I don't know. I think the factories are just at the level of the cottage factories. It's good because it spreads out evenly, even development in the whole country. But then the truth of the matter is that, are they real factories? When you talk of a factory, you're talking of a huge concern which has got both backward and forward linkages. You understand? Let me give you an example of one. They cultivate cotton in northern Ghana. There's a ginnery in Tamale which works on the raw cotton. There's Japan Textiles, which makes the yarn, the base for the textiles. There's Akosobo Textiles, there's Tema Textiles, which turns out clothes, wax prints, etc., for us. Then there's the KUST, which has a department which produces the people who work in those textile factories. So then there's electricity from Akosobo, etc. for it. So it is not a one-off factory. It is a chain. It gives value to the chain. That's why we call it that's a value chain. And that is the way we should go when we talk of industrialization. We are not saying that industry should replace agriculture. No. Agriculture is to feed industry, especially where you have comparative advantage in those agricultural products. You understand? It's to feed it, one, for your own people, and two, for possible export. You get my point. And it's unfortunate that Benin is a small country, but it has a glorious past history. And I think that it should have based upon that in order to have found its way within the Committee of Nations. We hope that the political space will open up more after this. We hope there will be stability in that country. And we hope the new president will reach out to his political opponents and find some consensus to rule the country.
Right, right. Well, thank you very kindly, Mr. Justice Heneku. We're still streaming live on our Facebook page, which is Pan-African Television. We're on YouTube, Pan-African Television. And let me bring into the conversation Honorable Inusa Fusedi. Sir, please.
Well, I think that we need to commend the people of Benin. Benin is a very small country, sandwiched between Togo and Nigeria. I had the distinguished honor of meeting the president as part of an EU ACP Joint Parliamentary Assembly in 2015 in Benin. He's a simple man. I don't know his political ideology, but it's so simple. He came to the conference, he came to open the conference with 2 cars. 2. It's 2 saloon cars. He was behind the first one, which was his security. And opened the conference, walked just like in the shed and walked and opened the conference and walked back. So he caught the imagination of all of us over there. I mean, you didn't see a long convoy, nothing. Benin is also a poor country. It's a very poor country. In fact, the only thing they are famously known for is their voodoo. Yes. That's why people of Haiti believe that they originated from Benin, because there's a lot of voodoo in Haiti. But the people, when we were discussing, the young men, we had a forum of young men who were talking about their experiences in Benin and what they expected. I mean, obviously, employment. Some said that since they left university, they can't get the polytechnics, they can't get work. Some have also said that, well, opportunities are being created here and there, just like all other countries, and that people must be more self-reliant. The streets were very clean, and neat. Okada is organized. It's organized. They wear uniform. And the motor riders are licensed. Obey traffic regulations. So, well, the fact is that in Africa, we have been consumed, and comrade, and I could know, we have been consumed by ideological underpinnings that whatever be the case will produce opponents. Whatever be the case. So, my friend Elvis Bota, even though when he speaks, I think that he's more closer, he's a liberal, he's not a conservative, but he's of the conservative persuasion. That's his persuasion. That's what he believes in. Anaku is a socialist. I'm a social democrat. So, and all these are theories that we have imbibed, which are keeping us apart. It will be difficult, like the second topic. It's difficult for socialists and social democrats who are far to the left, at the extreme, to understand why a social democrat like Inusa Fusedi will go and support a liberal or neoliberal like Buta in a consultative dialogue. So I'm not surprised. I'm actually not surprised that there are political exiles in Benin. I'm not surprised. Talo was a self-made man before he became president. A cotton farmer, self-made. I'm not saying that he has no capacity to corrupt himself, but he was self-made. Talon has exhibited the kind of persona that clearly has not removed him from who he was before he became president. From what I saw of him. I'm not holding brief for him, but what I saw. So the people, and I conclude on the basis of what Elvis said. We have chosen a partisan political order in this country, just like Benin.
Yeah.
So multi-party democracy is the key feature. Means that we appreciate that people, just like on this table, people can belong to different ideological persuasions. So people can form an association or party based on their ideological beliefs. That's what we have. Multi-party. No matter what, you must ensure that your voice is heard in an election.
Absolutely.
If not, was Bedi, couldn't Bedi, or what is his name? The one who was?
Yeah.
Bagbo would never have become. Bagbo would never have become president. Look at the number of times he contested. He never gave up. He never gave up. Martin Kreko was removed. But he came back. He came back. He never gave up. And so
Mahama is coming back.
Mama was defeated in an election. He definitely will come back. And this time, probably unopposed. And then and take back the power. Because the power, MDC is winning. Because and the MP knows that. Because from 106 to 137, clearly an improvement on the chances of NDC in 2024. But nothing should prevent him from coming back. Nothing should prevent him. So for me, I just believe that, yes, let's pray for Benin. It's so small and so poor. One wonders what was the driving motivation for creating
That small country.
by the Europeans. Yes, yes. Because they can produce. What do they produce then?
They produce
Cotton.
Cotton. No, that was the only thing. Apart from cotton, human beings.
But it had a strong traditional governance.
Yes, yes. Oh,
No, that Dahomey.
Dahomey. The Dahomey Kingdom. Ile-Ife is Nigeria. Yes, the Dahomey Kingdom. Yes, I know. But I'm saying that why would they have carved out? That's small. Because then Benin lives heavily on foreign support, donor support. Heavily. But probably apart from the cotton and human beings.
Yeah, but you see, Honorable, the truth of the matter is that we attributed underdevelopment mainly to balkanization, and division.
Yes.
But if you look at Europe today,
Hey.
small countries.
No,
hold on.
Don't
If
talk
you
about
look at
Europe. I've
Europe
read a
countries-
lot of European
If you
history.
look at Europe today, there's a lot of
No. We are
The most important thing is that the EU is coordinating all the economies of these
My
small
brother,
countries
you are-
into an economic bloc.
no. My brother,
What we needed to do was to have coordinated our economies and our political systems together in spite of our history, which has divided us into-
Justice Hanako, you have gotten the whole equation wrong. Do you know that Europe, the small states that you are talking about, do you know that they developed because of Africa? Do you know that? Do you know that all our resources went to develop them? Do you know that all?
Not the whole.
Oh, the whole of Europe.
Even poor countries like
Oh, the whole of Europe. Look, I'm telling you, do you know that Spain, which is now struggling, was the richest country in Europe in the 1500s?
You are talking of Spain.
No, wait, I'm very coming.
I'm talking of
Wait. Do you know Belgium? How did Belgium develop? Belgium developed on the back of Congo.
yeah.
Do you know Britain? Britain was not the richest country in Europe. Britain was struggling in the 1500s to maintain a navy. In the 1500s. They developed because of Commonwealth. What are you talking about? What opportunity have we been given as Africans? Where's your gold? Today, the king, when you go to the Queen's Palace, you have gold city has beaten gold.
Can I talk now?
Are you ending on that?
No, the man is getting that.
He got emotional.
No, I mean, when you look at it from his perspective, obviously it's very annoying.
Yes, because I disagree on the with justice on the basis. Yes.
See, when you look at history,
The equation doesn't go that
you
way.
don't look at history in a one-sided manner. You don't look at geography in a one-sided manner. He mentioned certain countries. He mentioned Spain. Once upon a time, the Catholic Pope gave Spain the whole of the Western Hemisphere to exploit. Fair enough. Belgium, Congo, fair enough. Britain, the Commonwealth, fair enough. What about Yugoslavia? Serbia? Did they come and exploit Africa? What about Poland? Did they come and exploit Africa? And they in Europe? What about Romania? Did they come and exploit Africa? Isn't it in Europe?
Do they benefit from the EU?
They are part of the EU.
But how was the EU constructed?
Yeah, the Union was constructed, one, on the basis of coming together on the coal and steel.
Absolutely.
That is France and Germany, because of the long antagonistic history between France and Germany. So they signed that agreement. Later on, the other countries started joining.
And France and Germany benefited from Africa, so they had...
But the truth of the matter is that, what I'm saying is that being a small country doesn't necessarily mean that you should be undeveloped. It is how you run your country. He talked about gold. We have gold in this country. Has it benefited us? And why hasn't it benefited us? Because the ruling class believes that 98% of inflows of gold revenue should go outside. Oil. We have oil. They believe that 75% should go outside and not come inside. He sat in Parliament and they passed a bill which allowed Ashanti Gold to have $200 million tax holiday. Meanwhile, Bola tax is being, poor people in the market are being taxed Bola tax. Who constructs the road? It is our taxes. Which huge machines pass on the road and destroy it? It's Ashanti Gold and Newmont machines from the harbor. So you need to look at that conundrum. Instead of just saying because Belgium, because Britain colonized us, so therefore, no.
Justice Nkoku, I can get you serious debates if we end this program.
I was going to suggest that. Because, you see, let us.
But I'm learning from different perspectives.
Yes.
Because because EU was built up on the back of, these super house companies.
EU just came into existence
After Second World, after First World, Second World.
Why? Because of market. And EU, the idea of EU was driven by powerful European nations.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Those European nations benefited from Africa.
Yes. So they needed a bigger market.
Listen, I think that I'm the most cheated on this panel. Okay, it is a subject of interest. You don't expect these two people to agree on this subject.
No, they won't.
On history, I don't expect an agreement. They can debate here for the rest of the hours and there wouldn't be any. In fact, just to address this matter,
from your perspective,
it is important for us to appreciate, economic unionization and its role in building an international security community, on the one hand, and the role of individual states or nations in building statehood and their own wealth and economies.
Yeah.
However, like the forebearers of Africa thought, that look, should Ghana, Nkrumah made a profound statement that the independence of Ghana was meaningless, was completely meaningless unless it is linked up to the total liberation of the entire African continent. Why? Because we have this parasitic effect. If you are to build an international security community, you have a parasitic effect of countries that are not able to make any much economic gains for themselves.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
And so it stands closer to the debate that Europe, okay, exploited Africa. There's no argument about it. Talk about geography, talk about history, talk about anything. What got Europe to be Europe is the fact that they exploited Africa. The only contribution to their own wealth is probably their intellect and technology, which we did not benefit from.
Let's leave it.
No, we won't leave it there. Let's proceed. Give me just a bit.
Okay, right. One moment. One moment.
So you realize that countries as poor as Portugal,
Yes. Portugal.
Portugal
surviving.
actually dominated Africa.
Yes.
Portugal actually had the power to decide where heavy ships passes and what levies and duties are passed on them.
Yeah.
In fact, countries like the former Yugoslavia, Serbia, and all those very poor countries, of course, Justice, I appreciate your analysis from that angle. But Europe had to do what they had to do by having a unionized economic front, which is the EU, and to be able to EU, and to be able to drag in all these struggling countries, some of whom could not defend their own statehood, okay, so that they do not become heavily dependent on them. Otherwise, how did we address the issue of the War of Spanish Succession, 1701 to 1714? How did we address that? How did the War of Roses come about? The Napoleon whatever in France and its related areas. How did we come to an address of it? They realized at some point that, look, we better shut up, come together, stop fighting each other, and fight at a common enemy, which is Africa. So I think that it comes then to the conclusion, okay, that if they were able to devise these kind of thoughts to help themselves grow, today, what thoughts are African leaders coming together to put up to defend Africa? All we see on a daily basis is the uselessness of praising what IMF have said, the hopelessness of what World Bank have said. We can never alter our own economic advantages. Please, let's not take this country for granted. Let's not take this continent for granted. The white man is our problem and the white man should be our enemy.
Thank you.
Conclude.
Very much. And if I allow Mr. Edeku will also cut, I don't want to allow it. Let's proceed. We have other issues too.
The intellectual discourse will not end anytime soon.
But you see, my viewers benefit, you know, from this wealth of knowledge. And it's very important that sometimes we trade ideas and we learn from them.
And also very refreshing that at least
Very
we move
refreshing.
away from politics.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But these are politics.
Politics of the world. Anyway,
Maybe he meant partisan politics.
let me say a special good morning to Mr. Bernard, in fact, Dr. Bernard Toxin. Dr. Bernard Toxin is the CEO of Toxin Osteopathic Center in Kumasi. You are watching us this morning. A special good morning to you from the team here at Pan-African Television, to you and yours, and also to the general manager for Rage Royal Hotel in Cape Coast, Mr. Samuel Ubri Ediama. You are watching this morning. Good morning to you, sir, and I believe you're doing very, very well. Let's come back home and discuss some domestic stories. One, clearly, and I'm starting, no, I'm not even blinking, I'm starting with Honorable Inus of Husseini straight. At the National Consultative Dialogue on Small-Scale Mining, and I'm sure you know why I'm starting with you. Aha. President Akufo-Addo slams political actors for politicizing Galamsey, but in other newspapers, it appears President Akufo-Addo is admonishing us to come together, build a consensus, and address the menacing canker of Galamsey. Albeit that he himself would admit that when he started the war against Galamsey, we gave it so much thought, we gave it so much action, and everybody supported that particular cause to the negative, really.
Well, you see, a journalist, you are the journalist, and I've always said that sometimes the way you choose your headlines, you don't do justice to us.
We don't do justice to Heneku.
Because I was there. I was invited in my capacity as former minister. I chaired the first session of the forum. Akufo-Addo, yes, he bemoaned the fact that political parties undermine each other in the fight against Galamsey. And it is about time that it stopped.
Well, then Ghanaian Times is
He didn't slam any political actors. He bemoaned it.
Ghanaian Times is misleading us.
He's misleading us. He bemoaned it.
Yeah.
He bemoaned it. And I even Colin Zara was sitting in front of me. Then Colin Zara turned around and looked at me. Because, yes, he also has been caught by
In that same web, yeah.
In that same web. Yeah. So how can he slam political actors? He bemoaned it. You see, clearly, yesterday's national dialogue, I see it as another attempt, novel at that, at building consensus on how to deal with the Galamsey issue. You see, after the little or no success of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Small-Scale Mining, the President thinks that Galamsey, and rightly so, should be brought onto the front burner. The session I chaired yesterday looked at the difficulties, challenges, successes, if any, and the way forward in the fight against Galamsey. I am passionate on Galamsey, and I have been speaking since I left the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources on Galamsey activities. I even, as part of my dissertation for the LLM at the University of Ghana, I wrote on Galamsey. So I'm very confident with those activities. I've since learned that all of us here, all of us in this room, all of us human beings are part of an ecosystem put in place by God, by nature. And that we human beings who think that we are superior, we are the superior creature in the ecosystem, and have been treating other components of the ecosystem with impunity, is the reason why what is happening in the Galamsey side is happening.
You need to break it down.
We need to be responsible and to show respect to other components of the ecosystem. We need to show respect to the forest. Why? Because the creation is said that it created a symbiotic relationship between human beings and the forest. They are our lungs. When we breathe out the carbon dioxide, they take it in. And the byproduct of their photosynthesis, that is making their food, is oxygen. And we breathe it in. We cannot survive. Mars, they are exploring Mars and they are saying that human beings cannot survive there because of what? No water. We cannot survive as human beings if there's no water. My brother, the Sahara Desert that we have read about was not created a desert. It's the anthropogenic activities of man that created that desert. So what created a desert? Today we're sitting here. The President said that mining can create wealth, and I agree with him. He says mining can create income. I agree with him. He says mining can help develop a nation. I agree with him, because even your mobile phone that you are holding has components that have been derived from the ground through mining. So that's development also. With your watch, our rings that we are wearing have components that have been derived from the ground. The buttons to our shirts. Just think about it. So mining can help develop a country. But the President added a caveat which I totally agree with. It should not, but mining should not and must not be done at the expense of the environment. Why? Everybody knows illegal small-scale mining despoils the environment. Everybody knows. Go to Dumkwa. Go to Chichewure. Go to Sabhe. We all know. Go to Chibi. We all know. The open pitches or pits, the open pits, the defoliation of the forest. We all see it. We know that it pollutes our water bodies. The 3 great or 4 great water bodies, often Cobra, Oti, and Pra. What happened? Now, the Ghana Water Company spends more money in treating water for us to drink. Meanwhile, Galamsey is contributing nothing to the revenue of this country. Nothing, absolutely nothing, because it's under the radar. Nothing. Yesterday's forum. And then we have forgotten that Galamsey has used mercury.
Yeah.
They use cyanide, which substances are dangerous to human life. So yesterday's forum clearly was an attempt to see how to build the coalition of the whole nation to fight. It came out clearly that there are powerful political people behind Galamsey. And I've said it on your network many times. There are powerful chiefs behind it. How do we deal with it? As chairman, I shudder to think that the Akufo-Addo is not committed. I could see some sense of some sincerity in his face and concern. I could see. But that sincerity and concern does not translate to commitment. There is more to be done. One short thing that I've called on the president to do is when he is appointing Elvis Bota to Nadole as DCE, he should give him a KPI, key performance indicator. Anytime I receive report from state agencies that Galamsey activity is taking place in your district, you lose your job. That should also go to the ministers. Ken Asibe has added, when I said that Ken Asibe added the police commissioners, both district and regional, and then the district mining officers. He added them. But I didn't add them because they are public servants. The 2 I've mentioned are politicians. Why? And the president said that he will act on persons he will punish persons who are culpable, but he will not act on hearsay. I disagree with him. Mr. President, if you are listening to me, I disagree with you. In the fight against Galamsey, some hearsay is necessary. It's very, very necessary.
You will not just have the evidence.
You will not just have the evidence. They will hear that Asumasi is the one who has the... Because those people working there are not the owners of the land. No. Those Galanceyans, they're not the owners of the land. They're workers. So you will hear that Asumasi is the owner of the land. It will come as people will begin talking. And the rumor will be too profound to ignore. Too profound to ignore. And then as president, because if you are committed, then you cause an investigation. That's why you have got all the state apparatus behind you. You cause an investigation. And then you can then deal, if evidence points conclusively, as that person be actively involved in Galamsey activities, you punish that person. If it is a chief, that's why the chieftaincy structure is hierarchical. You go up and talk to the chief that's appointed him and show him the evidence, and they will distill him. It is true. So there's a way, but it requires commitment, total commitment, because we must succeed in the fight against Galamsey. We must. If we fail, we are condemning future generations to poverty and misery. Thank you.
Wow, beautifully submitted. Thank you very much. Let me come to Mr. Heneku, and then I'll come to you, Honorable.
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting that the question of Galamsey has come back to the fore. My problem with it is the discrimination which we attach to mining in this country, where when the local people are mining, we term them as illegals, and when foreigners are mining, it is all right. Even at the level of a small scale, we have a lot of Chinese who are mining. Of course, probably they have registered. But the truth of the matter is that because of the impunity and lawlessness which characterizes our political system, we are unable to enforce whatever laws that we have as at now. The use of mercury, cyanide, everything, I bet you Newmont and all those kind of people also do so. When you talk of the destruction of the earth, the open cast mining, you go to Owusu and elsewhere, Huni Valley and elsewhere, the open cast mining, which is done by these huge foreign companies, is even worse. Of course, the destruction by illegal miners is widespread all over our country, and these people, they are well confined to the southern part of our country. We should only ensure that the rules and regulations which we introduce, one, to regulate and register people who go into mining, and for environmental laws and all those things to guide them, and enforcing it is done across, from the itinerant miner right up to the foreign concern. The Ghanaian illegal miners, so-called, were not the ones who first introduced excavators and all those kind of things. It was the Chinese who did. You understand? And of course, some Ghanaians, big businessmen, capitalists, you understand, entered into the fray. And why is it that you have these illegal miners at that level taking part? Because they don't have work to do. Why have they become jobless? They become jobless because we've given huge concessions to foreigners. Mind you, the forest, before it was mined, was giving jobs to people. People were hunting there. People were collecting herbs from there. People were collecting mushrooms, snails, everything in order to sell. Now all these people, concession has been given, so they are taken out. And when they are taken out, they are not provided with an alternative livelihood. Meanwhile, they must eat. So what do you expect them to do? To look for the best possible way of doing it. So we ought to start tackling it from that point. Then we have to take the point of enforcing laws. Whether it's a chief, yes, the small chief can be the stool, but what about the big chief? And who says the big chiefs are not taking part in this whole business? I've had to do some projects on cocoa, where cocoa trees were being destroyed because the cash which was coming in to acquire the land for mining was bigger than what they were getting from cocoa. And I had to go as far as to Apapem in Chebi, beyond Chebi, where Dankwa went to school. And the dream had been blocked in order for people to mine gold. Chebi itself, as you are entering Chebi on the right, the whole place had become holes, etc., etc. So the truth of the matter is that it is like, and it's interesting, he was minister for lands and things. It's like the land. Somebody sells you land and he says that after some time you have not built a house on it, so he's coming to take the land. Or a chief or a land owner sells land 2 times and goes away scot-free. They are illegals. It is against the law. People should be held responsible and punished. Whoever you are, whether you are a regional chairman, whether you are a minister, and you see, the problem is that it is not only the political class, the bureaucracy. He didn't mention the bureaucracy. It's the bureaucracy which is to enforce the rules and regulations. And the bureaucracy gets away with a whole lot of crime in this country. And everything is put on the shoulders of the political class. There is a district mining officer. What is his job there? Why is he paid? So if he's not doing his work, why shouldn't he be held responsible? There's a security officer. There's the BNI or National Bureau of Investigation, which sends information on all of us to up there. So it is not anonymity that it is you didn't hear, or they should bring you evidence. The evidence has been collected by the security system already. They know. They know who is who and who does what in this very country of ours. Our system, we have a system, but it's the impunity. He talked about the fact that Benin, when you go, the streets are clean and everything. It shows that it is organized. The society is organized. Is our society organized? If it was organized, it means everybody knows his role. Everybody knows what he's supposed to do. If you go against it, you'll be held responsible. So it is not so much about consensus as so much about ensuring that the rules, look, all of us, the three of us, he's a social democrat, he's a capitalist, I'm a socialist. We all want good water to drink. We all want the forest. I want the forest on the Kriapim Hills to be there so that the air here will be. But who are putting up the mansions, destroying the approaches to Peduase? They are not even thinking about security.
It's terrible.
On the right, yesterday when I was going to Abri, you could see people building story buildings where you could put a cannon there and destroy the whole of Peduase Lodge. And as if our security system is not working because it shouldn't be allowed. That no, that on this side of Peduase, you can't put up high-rise buildings. So is our system working?
That's very true, you know.
Is our system working? You understand? And our political, those who govern us, the regime which governs us, should simply apply the law in a fair manner. In a very fair manner. You see, that is the difference between us and Europe. In Europe, there's corruption there. When you are caught and it's blown up, you'll be held responsible no matter who you are. Here, when it is blown up, depending on who you are and the connections you have, they will mind you or they will mind you.
Yeah.
That is our problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, is it Boris or who? Is it been an investigation in the UK? Eh?
Boris.
No, is it Boris?
Trump is also.
It's not Trump. The UK former UK Prime Minister. What's his name?
Oh, Johnson. Boris Johnson.
Yeah, Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson. He's the current.
No, the previous one.
Theresa May.
The current one, the
No,
former
it's
one.
an investigation. I'll check.
Okay.
For some payments that he made.
No, that is France. Sarkozy.
Is that not Sarkozy? Sarkozy is also there. But
Yeah.
in the UK, I think it was just yesterday. The story came out yesterday.
Okay.
Anyway,
We'll follow it.
yeah, we have to follow it. Anyway, right. You see, that's what you get when you watch the morning show on Pan-African television. You know, knowledge, not chaff. But you see, I was expecting all three of you to speak on this matter. Looking at it from the perspective of the support.
I have not spoken yet on this point. Though.
Hey, you haven't.
He hasn't.
It's you.
So it can't be all three.
I like that. You know, I assume that because you see, you
I haven't
anyway,
spoken
let me
yet.
allow you speak. But you see, you can't even speak to what I'm about to say because you can't talk about Owusu and all that.
No, but I spoke to it. I said that. No, Kwame. I spoke to it.
Say what you want to say.
You can't speak to Owusu and all of that, and the support your government got in an
I'm
attempt.
entitled to my opinion on this.
Of course, clearly. Please proceed.
We are discussing a very pertinent issue that borders on national development. Number one, it borders on security. Number two, and it borders on our ecological safety. Number three. In fact, it is on this basis that I think that if I were to be, postulating on this, I would safely conclude that it exerts an existential threat to livelihood. It exerts threat to economy. If we were to engage academia in running an analysis of the political economy of the mining sector, then we do a comparative analysis of gains and lost. Then we will come to appreciate that we have done ourselves a lot of evil. However, it's not as though we do not know. We do know. Everybody do know that, including Galamseyers themselves and miners themselves. They do know this. But you see, in Africa and in Ghana, KOD, the issue of Galamsey and small-scale mining, or whatever we want to call it, is an entire demonic, hypocritical conspiracy between Mr. Politician, between the chiefs, between the security agencies, between political appointees, and the Galamseyers themselves. And the monies and proceeds from Galamsey actually have proportional modus of sharing across all these strands I have just named. So what's this hypocrisy? That those who should fight Galamsey are those who are very busy looking for a solution to Galamsey. Nobody is left out in this matter. We have seen how this current president have committed time and efforts and resources to the fight against Galamsey. Highly commendable, no doubt about it. It doesn't matter where you are looking at the issues from. His Excellency President Akufo-Addo have done fantastically well. And it is true that Galamsey becomes a topical issue at the center of campaigns. When you are in power, your opponent say all manner of things against you in respect of your fight against Galamsey. When you also go to opposition, it is the same. Both NDC and MPP are very much guilty of this. The only thing that stands out is the testicular prowess of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to have confronted the matter, at least to pave an architecture and a framework within which it should be fought. But the value chain is occupied by the wrong people. Look, in the various communities, you know what they do? Where they do Galamsey, they have what they call Galamsey committees. And they have a chairman. The Galamsey committee will link up favorably with police commanders and other leading security agents. In fact, and to the district chief executives who are the heads of DISEC. They proceed to extend seductive packages to heads of RECSEX, which is the regional ministers, and all other people within the bureaucracy.
That's what I spoke about.
And it ends at higher level of national government, higher level of national, traditional, and chieftaincy administration, higher levels within the ranks and files of our security corpus. We may not just be able to, under the current circumstances, fight Galamsey. We may not be able. Because the actions and inactions of Galamsey, like the happenings of the mafia of Italy, have gone so deep that its proceeds are valued than our tomorrow. A man with money and wealth, it then becomes very, very difficult, a really cumbersome position for anybody to fight it. His Excellency put his presidential elections in the pipeline. To be honest with you, one of the reasons the NPP have got the numbers it has today in Parliament largely borders on Galamsey. I lost my elections substantially because of Galamsey and my openness and frankness on my position on it. But the entire Nadoli Kalio constituency sits on Galamsey.
Or you become an MC or DC soon, so.
You will fight them.
No, I'm not going for MC or DC. Let me be very honest with you. It's not part of my plans. I don't want it. I'm not going for it.
Okay.
But that's by the way.
All right.
So you mean what I said cannot
Your
be true?
prophecy will not come to pass. But I have other party men capable.
Okay.
They have supported me largely in my parliamentary bid. I haven't succeeded. I think I should support at least them to also come up. Then we all see how we can develop the constituency. It is on this basis. I'm not better than anybody who is going to be DCE. No, I'm not intelligent beyond being a DCE. No, in fact, it will be a wonderful learning process. But I think I'll be too greedy. People supported me in 2016 when I contested against Alban Bergwin. People supported me in 2020. I think that I'm not the only repository of knowledge. Let us push another young man or young woman to be the DCE. We will all back the person, you know, to see what development we can bring to the people of Nadoli. We have digressed. It's not a topic for discussion. So you see the danger in what I'm talking about. It's an entire conspiracy. Now we're talking about registration for the foreign companies, mainly Chinese, who come in. Who licenses them? Are we not, is it not on the basis, within the parameters of our laws to do so? Look, to end this whole Galamsey issue, the architecture is simple. I can handle it. Our military are not those confronted with the threat of war daily. Our security agencies, the police, the military, the prisons, the fire service, why can't we equip them technically and make every mining field in Ghana a state-owned mine? And let the communities benefit the corporate social contribution. That corporate social responsibility must be tilted to the fundamental and rudimental worries of those communities. We have been mining in Obuasi for God knows how long. Obuasi remains one of the ugliest and dirtiest city, with all apologies to the people of Obuasi. I say this out of love for you and for all of us. Obuasi, we have not been fair, be it a PNDC government, a Buzia government, an NPP or an NDC government. We have not been fair to Obuasi. Today, we sit in this country, very few of us, a country that was named after gold, and rightly so. My village, Tangasie, if you go out with a pickaxe, and you are able to stand the test of the sun, you are likely going to wash gold. It's not small gold lying down there. How many of our pupils in school, our students in even higher learning, have seen gold? How many? How many? So you see, until we rechannel an architecture, let's put the military, recruit a lot of young men and women into the military, establish special agencies under the military and paramilitary forces like fire service, prison service, and actually use even prisoners to do mining and keep our gold. Anybody who wants it should come here. We can create that market here. Otherwise, we're not going to make any gains. So it's all the big laws, and Parliament sits overnight to bring a lot of, legal frameworks. I think that we are just running around the circle. Nobody is really confronting the realities of the situation. If we do that and we reserve concessions for state mining, okay, and we introduce strict punishment for culpability of people who would be adamant in their approach to what the law says, then we can have a solution. I have always said that the problem with Africa is partly religion. Partly religion. You see, other countries where corrupt officials from all angles, be it political or civil service, are hanged for their sins against development, are they not better off? Here, nobody wants to even append signature on the death warrant because he is a Christian or he is a Muslim or he holds to one religious belief or not. Let me tell you, in conclusion, that if you go to Romans chapter 16, verse 18, it will tell you the attitude of leadership on Galamsey. The content of this particular biblical quotation I'm going to give speaks volumes about how leadership at all levels confronts Galamsey in this country. With your permission, KOD, I will read Romans 16:18. For those who are searched do not serve us. And here they were referring to God. But in this case, we are referring to Ghana. They do not serve us, but their own bellies, and by smooth words and flattery speech, deceive the hearts of the simple. So, all these things happening over the periods through successive governments, the fundamental goal of all those people is to fill their bellies and to now deceive the rest of the public. We are simple and innocent. So they deceive us with sweet and flattery words. Only the youth can stand up against this and do what is right against Galamsey and its perils on us. KOD, the media must report wholly and truthfully. Because you people also go and film nasty Galamsey issues. You don't even publish them.
Get money.
They give you money, you get the videos and the audios, you don't publish them. Ghanaian media houses.
So.
Well, I'm not wrong. In the Dagare tradition, they said it was one monkey that broke the corn, and all monkeys had to suffer for that. So, pardon me if there are bases to believe that Pan-African is different. But I really think that this national dialogue only shows a recommitment of His Excellency the President, okay, to give a direction on this matter. I watched the program from A to Z. There was really consensus, no political argument whatsoever. And you saw it in the submission of my uncle, that no politician from the NDC nor the NPP, okay, argued on this. Why? They are part of the beneficiary chain of it, and then the president is just suffering. A legacy he wants to leave, he's just suffering. But the others, apart from the president, are really committed. Appointees under the president gets angry when he himself is talking about Galamsey. I know. Inwardly, some appointees are not happy that, look, old man should let us make money. But old man wants the good of Ghana and our future generations. At least, to have been blessed with such a leader, nobody have done this for us. Let us go by his admonishment.
Right.
And so, I will say that the media rise up, all of us should rise up and do what is right and proper.
Okay. All right, well, I've seen that you're writing a lot of things. Maybe, yeah.
I agree largely with Haneko, Justice Haneko. Akufo Haneko, as is a compound name, on saying that there should not be discrimination in the application of the laws.
Let's hang one or two people all part.
No, but I want to say that yesterday's forum was on small scale mining. Now, but zeroed in on the illegal aspect of small scale mining. Two, the number one licenses Chinese in the small scale mining sector. Because the Minerals and Mining Act, which succeeded PNDC Law 218, makes small scale mining the exclusive preserve of Ghanaians. That was why, as Lands and Natural Resources Minister, it was very easy for me to arrest fair-skinned people on mining, small-scale mining sites, because prima facie, you're not a Ghanaian.
You're not a Ghanaian.
And so you have to come and establish that you're a Ghanaian. So it's simple, that's simple. What was difficult for us was arresting other West African nationals, even though we got some. But they are just like me and you. Only Ghanaians can do small-scale mining. You see, the problem is enforcement. Yes. But even Ganako, you know, that the only reason why we legalized small-scale mining in 1989 was because of what? That time the population was growing. And the country's ability to produce enough opportunities for the youth to work was limited. Today, as I speak to you, more than 1 million people are engaged in small-scale mining, which 1 million people would otherwise be on the streets. So yes, it's work. But, Mr. Hanako, you also know that everywhere on earth, extractive activity is not done without regulation. Because it impacts the environment. It impacts the environment. Now, you see, your military solution suffers two fatalities. The military cannot be on the small scale mining sites all the time. It's expense itself. If you go and ask the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Small Scale Mining how much they spent in maintaining the military on the sites, they will tell you it's unsustainable. We can't do it. So the military can only be used as a first intervention mechanism to restore law and order enforcement. And then there must be sustainable ways of making sure that small-scale miners do not return to the site. And to the military itself. Elvis, you have forgotten.
It's successful.
I think that you didn't really get.
No, I get you. I got it. Beautiful concept.
I'm saying that
We are not giving them oversight.
Yes.
For enforcement.
I agree with you.
Training engineers within them, okay, to take up the responsibility of mining on behalf of the state. We spoke about KPIs. We will give them market targets based on expert analysis. In fact, if you have been given a concession, the geological evaluation report should be able to give an idea of what, yes, we'd expect from there.
Yeah, honorable.
So if we don't get it, you hang the high command in charge of that particular mine.
How do you handle?
Conclude for me.
So let's sacrifice that.
For me, let's agree. I mean, we are all agreed. Not that I was minister. I was so clear in my mind the very day I went to the ministry, just like all other ministries, just like the Ministry of Energy, that I'm sent there to work. I'm not sent there to make money for myself and engage in illegalities. I was so clear. That's why when I left the Ministry of Energy, go back and ask them. I've never gone there. When I left the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, it was only yesterday that I saw some workers of the ministry. I've never been there. When I left the Ministry of Roads and Highways, I went there once upon the invitation of the minister, the very week he assumed office. I don't go there. I finished my work. So why do I need to go there? I have no business with the Ministry of Roads. I have no business with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. I have no business with the Ministry of Energy. It is only when you let your personal interests cloud your appreciation of what you have to do there, and then you begin forming alliances and cliches and awarding contracts to yourself, and that's when you have problem.
Right. Let me read a few messages. This one says, it's from Tijani Amigo. It says, big up, Elvis. Ajabata Adenta. The president even put his presidency on the line to fight Galamsey. What's the result? He became the facilitator of Galamsey for his party members and supervised the disappearance of over 400 excavators. Up to date, no single person has been held accountable, and goes on and on and on and on. Ejuso said John says President Akufo-Addo has reiterated during the national dialogue on small-scale mining that it's time to rejuvenate our country's lands and that we don't need foreigners to campaign for the protection of our Ghanaian land, our inheritance. He made it clear that he's determined to enforce laws on illegal mining. God bless you, President Akufo-Addo, for not giving up on the fight against Galamsey. Abena Pokuya Aka says, the MPP speaker has made a great speech. The white man is our enemy. They have built the world system to benefit them to the detriment of the African continent. What we have failed as a continent to do is to construct our own governance system to suit us. All these countries we see today were not developed under our so-called democratic governance, which are seriously been misconstrued by the African continent. All right. Babamu Patriot says from Tamale, good morning to you, KOD. We can only win the Galamsey fight if we build consensus amongst ourselves. So I think the National Consultation Dialogue on Mining would help deal with the challenges. A lot of sector ministers have tried their best, but to no avail. My regards to my grandpa, Inusa Fuseni. Remind him about my Ramadan sugar. Babamu Patriot says, I should remind you of his Ramadan sugar.
But I think that he's better positioned to have sugar for me.
Since you're on retirement. Anyway, Abdul Basit says, thank you very much, Honorable Inusa Husseini. This one also says, frankly speaking, it's from Musa Abatwa in Kumasi. Frankly speaking, Ghanaians are suffering from this leadership crisis. We are in the 21st century, so we need fresh, young, innovative minds to steer the affairs of this country, because instead of progressing, we are retrogressing. A country that is practicing nepotism will never make progress at this age. Ghana is battling with Danso after it was fixed by John Dramani Mahama. KOD, can you please host some ordinary people on your program? Della Abdallah, I don't know what you mean by ordinary people. We are all ordinary men. We are all ordinary men.
Just Elvis Goose in Kotu.
Yes. But yes. But we are all ordinary men. And I think that, but there's a segment that has been introduced on a morning show where they interview the normal, Shakespeare E. Mensah says, I've really fallen in love with this MPP guy. Very brilliant. He's an asset. Juliana Belinda Obri says, Disco Doom Nana. Hey. Al Abbas Kunate. Morning KOD, my greetings to your respected panelists. Just like my good brother Bota said, the white man is our problem and our enemy. Right, these are a few messages I got on Facebook. Let's conclude today's conversation with Adainimo, our very own Adainimo. Adainimo is on fire.
It's fire.
Elvis?
Adainimo is on fire.
Adainimo is on fire. He says that Nanado's performance is very poor. Elvis?
Yes, listen. I think he spoke on Adam.
He did.
Yeah. NPP's Adainimo attacks Akufo-Addo, says his performance as president very poor. You see, I am a personal close friend to the Honorable Adainimo. A respected personality, a calm man, but with a lot of focus and particularity in dealing with issues. As a political system, as a political party, when people like him begin to speak in the manner he has spoken, and I'm sure he went off board, it only suggests that leadership of the party should reconsider certain things, because I think that such criticisms do not, and I'm not speaking merely on the heading. If you have read the paper, you see the deeper revelations he made, most of whom may tickle emotions of people, but in real sense may not be true. There are others that are also very genuine issues he raised. And that is why I'm being circumspect in my choice of words and position on this matter. Suffice it to stand that whatever he says, it's even true. This is a respected member of parliament. Former. There are avenues to address such concerns.
You know, we have the same birthday with him.
Yes, we do. I've been so close to him, and so I know what I'm talking about. At some point, he accommodated the office of my consultancy for me at no charge and at no cost of rent at all. I'm talking about a 4-bedroom flat, which I benefited as office. Honorable Adainimo. Respected personality. He has presidential ambitions. He can do it. However, I am saying that it is wrong for a former member of parliament to want to suggest that there is no single avenue to channel certain grievances for redress. and it is the president you attack directly in the media, it is wrong. I will not stand with my respected friend and uncle Adanimo on this. If you read the paper, he went as far as saying even the president, on the basis of what he described as his attitude, today cannot even win elections as a polling station executive. Please, are we kids in this country? I mean, I think that, to say the least, it's below the belt that for you to suggest that a president so duly elected by the Ghanaian people cannot win polling station elections. In the NPP, I think it's the NDC that have 9, but at the branch level. But in the NPP, we actually have only 5 polling station executives. The man whom the party took into being president cannot win as a polling station executive. Even me, who lost parliamentary elections twice, I think that to say this about me, it's a show of immaturity, to say the least.
Right.
Listen.
Conclude for me.
Governance is not the exclusive responsibility of one man. Government is born out of a political system. A party borns government to exercise the will of the people. There are avenues he could have done that. So if today the NPP and its grassroots elected President Akufo-Addo as flag bearer, and the Ghanaian people endorsed and accepted him by giving him their will as president, are insulted in this manner, then it means that the presidential ambition of Honorable Adanimo would be hanging seriously at the wrong side of the balance, because, you know what, he will be going back to the same grassroots that repose confidence in Nana Akufo-Addo for us to repose same confidence in him. So an insult of that nature on the president is an insult on the grassroots of the party. Now, intelligently, he styled it as though he was speaking the minds of the grassroots. Yes, MPP grassroots are despondent, largely. I am deputy national organizer. At least I interact with the grassroots. I know a lot of people are not happy with a lot of things. But the truth of the matter is, when you fight for your party to come to government, the benefits should not directly, be shed into your pockets immediately. What the government can do at best is to open up opportunities for the entire Ghanaian people. Then you also, as a Ghanaian, stand to benefit, even though I agree that sacrifices should be rewarded. And on the basis of the works of these grassroots, party must have a deliberate plan with which we reward them. I agree with that. But it should not amount to us reducing ourselves below the scale of maturity to tag people, especially the President of the Republic. Seated here, I know certain promises the President made, which he has not been able to fulfill yet. But he still have more than 3 years to end his term. By the way, which president in this country came in and back to back the page of their manifesto actually fulfilled all their promises? I think that he could have done better by commending the president on most of the achievements he has made. Offer a critique paper on what ought to be done in the next line of action. Then when you do all these things and you conclude in a manner that is quite insulting on the party, then we can give you a listener. But if you go on the rampage in the media,
all right,
when headquarters is just there, I mean, KOD,
all
it
right.
does not speak well for our nation and our democracy, especially for one who wants to be a president.
Mr. Eneko, please.
Well, in the first place, I don't think that Mr. Adanimo insulted anybody. Mr. Adanimo indicated in his interview that the party, indeed what I would describe as inner party democracy, was dead. There was intimidation within the party. So naturally, even if you wanted to critique the performance of the party or the government in power, you were shut out. And we all know when Nana Akufo-Addo became the presidential candidate of the NPP, he snuffed out all his opponents, including throwing out the chairman of the NPP and the general secretary, etc., etc. And you hardly heard a whimper within the NPP on anything. Look, it is not so much a winner-take-all where you go and share spoils of war, because you are not going to war, and the Ghanaian resources is not for one of the parties. But if the Ghanaian public are enjoying, just like my brother said, the NPP people who are part of the Ghanaian publics will also enjoy. If the ball of Kenke is now 2 cedis, 50 pesos, you are buying it. Yes, you understand? I think that what he's trying to do, of course, he has presidential ambitions too. He has contested Nana Akufo-Addo before. You understand? And so he's critiquing the performance. Is it only Adanimu who has condemned Nana Akufo-Addo within the NPP? No. PMM has done it. Nyaho Tamaklo has done it. You understand? And so it is not...
What I said. I sit on this platform and I disagree with the president, my government and my party. They know it. They all know it. But I'm saying that we could have been a little more constructive in that regard.
Yes, I agree. So, but I'm saying that he indicated that within your party, there's intimidation. There's no, toleration for any critique or for dissent, for that matter. And so probably, I don't know. He has no other way rather than to come out. Of course, he's a politician. So he comparing Nanado that he wouldn't win an election at the police station it is one of those political talks, you understand. But the main thing is that, does he have the right to critique? And is he the only one who is critiquing or who has critiqued? And is it, he's now campaigning to also be president.
Of course.
Nana Addo too has his people who are campaigning to be president.
Absolutely.
So what do you think that if he condemns Nana Addo, hasn't he condemned Bawumia?
Absolutely.
So it is in the nature of the politicking which is characteristic of our system. And so I don't see it as any big deal.
Adadimo has my support, by the way. Anyway, Honorable Minister of State.
Well, you must understand Elvis Bota. He is the National Executive Office holder.
Of course.
And he's a discussant of this panel. He's also disclosed that he's a very close friend of Adanimu and has benefited from the magnanimity of Adanimu. So he's caught between the hard rock
and the deep blue sea.
So you could see him dancing. But I share in his predicament.
I hold no predicament. It's only fair. It's only fair for me to address the palpable mischief Malcolm played. I have taken a position that much as he is my friend, and I have benefited from his magnanimity. Okay, I will not accept it that certain things said
Could have been said
because it would rather affect him, not Nana.
Okay. So,
well, it was not.
Danso with words. I see the way he was very calm about it. I think he was going to do his thing again.
what I'm saying is that.
But these are the topics the NDC wants. And so do you expect him not to take?
Why you people to engage in it?
He's only taking an opportunistic capitalization on the matter. What I'm saying is that opportunistic capitalization on the matter has to do with presidential elections.
Nana Addo Akufo-Addo for many years at the bar in Parliament. In fact, he calls me by name. Yesterday, he called my name, asked me how I was doing. And he didn't call the name because I'm not a public figure. He had always known me. But Nana Akufo-Addo as a lawyer is different from Nana Akufo-Addo as a president. as a president, he's retreated inwards. He's formed a cabal. He's excluded the larger party. And if you are not loyal to him, you don't get close. So people feel disenchanted. I listened to them in the NPP. They have pained. So Adainimo is just manifesting that. And that's why I share in the predicament of Elvis. You see, even in the grassroots are complaining. Even the recent appointment of ministers is a problem. Because people had expected that his first administration, yes, he appointed a large government to satisfy everybody. But there was opportunity, since he was not going for a second term, to bring in new hands and give them opportunity. He failed. He settled on the people that he has been working with. So people are disenchanted. In fact, coming events are casting their shadows.
Thank you very much. So, no worries, City. Few messages and then we're out of here. Sarah, please get the video ready, okay? We'll play it. It's a big shame to Ghana where you can even find a better inter-regional road network, stable power distribution, even education. We don't know where our children are heading to. And you didn't add your name to that. This one also says, Ukufado, you are the one doing partisan politics with Galamsey. What happened to Charles Bisu, caught on tape receiving Galamsey bribe? Ekwe, we see etc. 7 from Insuta Buem. This one says, let us be honest with ourselves. MPP has completely failed Ghanaians in the first term. They should put mechanisms to make life better for everyone. Kweku from La Paz sent in this one. Good morning to you. Tell my brother Bota, we have missed him a lot. From his junior brother Prosper Domayele. This one also says the quotation for the future MP of Nadoli is what? Okay. I lived in a Galamsey enclave for a year. The area was a forest reserve. Any day the stone-bearing ones were brought from the pits. There was a formula of allocation comprising Vs: 1, chief; 2, committee members; 3, minister of environmental rep; military personnel; buyers, into brackets, small-scale miners and sponsors; laborers, those who raise their lives into the pit. So the beneficiaries from Galamsey include all of us. Mark from Bolga Sentinel. So on that note, let me say a big thank you to all of you for your time this morning. Thank you to you for watching today's edition of Good Morning Africa. I'll leave you in the hands of Mr. Drew, who has released a new song called Mood. I love it, by the way. Let's have a wonderful mood this morning. Bye-bye. Bye.
If I no get, I go borrow anything for my baby, yo. She know they make her worry, yo. Now they give me body, yo. You show me love, I never know. You make my heart go ting-a-ling-a-ling. Me not go fit to let go. Girl, I wanna put it on, yo.